Episodes 1061 and 1062 were nothing short of phenomenal, fantastic. There's only so many synonyms I can use without being redundant on how good these episodes were. These fights aren't just about how good the animation was, although I will say I believe Sanji's, in terms of the entirety of the fight, Sanji had a little bit more consistent animation. Zoro, his fight with King had a little bit of spotty moments, but nevertheless I want to talk about why these fights were so impactful and influential to the story, because I don't think we actually understand how vital these matches were for the development of not just Zoro and Sanji, but for the Straw Hat crew in general. If you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that away, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's talk about how important Sanji and Zoro versus King and Queen actually was. Throughout the series, the Straw Hats, they fought different people to get where they are. I'd say the first big fight, or the fight that made the crew kind of known, was against Arlong. Then we fast forward a little bit, we fight against different warlords. There's Crocodile, Moria, Doflamingo. And then after the warlords, we started taking on Yonkos, going against Yonko commanders. Jack, he was brought up. I know that they didn't directly fight him, but still wanted to mention him. There was Cracker and Katakuri. And now we're fighting against Yonko, or Emperors of the Sea. And there was a quote from Oda where he originally wanted the story to be about 5 years long and just fighting against the Yonko, but instead he ended up adding the warlords, and I personally believe that was the best idea ever, because it allowed for us to see the progression of the characters, the influence that they gained in defeating these opponents, how strong they got, etc. It would have been kind of weird if they just went, hey, we're some no-name crew to defeat Yonkos. I think the progression of the different characters that we were introduced was very good for the story. There was a scene when Sanji was begging for Robin to save him. Black Maria, she clowned him, saying a person with Sanji's bounty being one of the highest on the crew begging for help means that the crew doesn't have any really worthy people on it, and it was pretty pathetic. And Robin, she stood up for Sanji, saying that he is a wing that will help Luffy, who will eventually become the Pirate King, to soar. Now the community, they went crazy over this statement. People were coming up with things like each member of the Straw Hat makes up one of the feathers on the wing, and he said if Sanji and Zoro are the wings, then the other members, they're the arms, the legs, the eyes, etc. Sanji and Zoro, they are special for a reason, and I love the Straw Hats. I love Nami. I know that we're not getting anywhere without her and her navigation skills. I love Chopper. I know that we aren't getting anywhere and people are still going to be sick because she's the doctor. I love Robin. We won't make it to Lafta without her being able to read the poneglyphs, etc. And people have talked about constantly the argument of Jambe being stronger than Sanji, or Jambe should replace Sanji's fighting role. For what? I love him. He's a voice of reason. He has a lot of experience, and I think he was the final piece for the crew to truly be whole, but he's not fit to take Sanji's role. Zoro, he's the guy that the crew looks to when Luffy's not around. He has the ability to lead, but he takes a step back. He's like the sun, does things that are very flashy in broad daylight. However, Sanji's the complete opposite. He's like the moon. He does things whenever people are asleep. Think of how, like, as a kid, you would be asleep on the couch, and then when you wake up, you're all of a sudden in your bed. Sanji's the person to take you to your room and doesn't let you know that he did that. He does things behind the scenes that the Straw Hats won't ever even know. That's the dynamic that these two have. Why do we think that whenever Marco made that statement, it's time for the stars to take the stage, that Sanji and Zoro were the ones who had that epic entrance, that scene of striking down King and Queen? Jambe, he didn't fight Queen. Sanji did. Jambe fought who's who. His bounty isn't on the level of Queen. There's a reason for that. Throughout the entirety of the series, it has always been Sanji and Zoro. It always has and always will be. Countless of times, Sanji and Zoro have stopped the second or third strongest for interfering in Luffy's fights. It happened in the manga, it happened in the anime, and it happened in the movies too. Why do we think in film Red that Zoro was the one to coordinate with Ben Beckman and Sanji was the one to coordinate with Katakuri? It's because besides Luffy's in strengths, who's the strongest, that the second and third strongest in Zoro and Ben Beckman and Katakuri and Sanji, they're the ones that replicate Zoro and Sanji's role. Zoro and Sanji, they are Luffy's right and left hand wing. They're his right and left hand men. When you look at a bird, they only have two wings, and that is Sanji and Zoro's role. During the Onigashima raid, this war demonstrated the new generation are here and they're here to stay. I believe in the episode when Killer took down Hawkins, the tower card said it's to be the collapse of the old and its hitting meeting is a new path. Hence, when Zoro and Sanji attacked Queen and King, they said when we win this fight, Luffy being king of the pirates is within our sight. If they can take down Yonko commanders, then who else is left to stop them? They'll be able to take down any other Yonko commanders that get in their way. This fight had meaning for Sanji and Zoro as individuals and for Luffy's dream as well. This is what makes Luffy such a great captain and the Straw Hats such great crewmates. Each character's individual goals, they correlate with Luffy's goal of being the Pirate King. When they improve, it allows Luffy's dream to become more obtainable, more of a reality, and he also never looks down on them chasing their dreams. The first fight I want to talk about is Sanji versus Queen. The two main things that was dealing with in this fight, it had to do with Sanji's physical struggles and his internal conflicts. In terms of weaknesses when fighting, and I'm not talking about women, Sanji, his struggle was his destructive power and his durability. Well, the exoskeleton and Ifrit Jambe had fixed that. His internal conflict, it had him becoming a monster. He was scared of turning into a heartless soldier of science like his siblings. He even questioned which version Luffy would want, a cold-blooded killing machine who could take down an enemy without hesitation, or a person who's limited to what he can do because of his emotions. And in doing this, Sanji, he destroyed the raid suit and accepted himself as Sanji, a member of the Straw Hats, and decided that by gaining the Germa abilities, he can use that to assist Luffy being the Pirate King. So Sanji dealt with his troublesome past and got stronger for Luffy, not only just doing it for himself, but doing it for his captain as well. The next fight I'm going to talk about is Zoro versus King. This was the first fight that Zoro was pushed to this extreme the entirety of the time skip, and I'd say their fight was a bit different than Sanji and Queen, because both King and Zoro had made a promise to their captain not to lose to anyone else and would make them the Pirate King. It was a battle of determination and with promises on the line. And doing this, Zoro, he even questioned himself if, hey, could he win this battle? He learned more about himself and about his swords, where Enma, the blade that he recently got, was testing him because he couldn't tame it, and this was because his own strength was lacking. So with the lacking strength that he had, Zoro, he pushed himself to his limits, unlocked Advanced Conquerors, and was able to compete with King. And Zoro had such a beautiful climax, and he accepted that, hey, he would become the King of Hell. During this fight, Zoro and Luffy, their dreams intertwined. To become the world's strongest, Zoro had to level up here, and in doing so, it will allow Luffy to have an easier time to becoming King of the Pirates. The point of this video was to bring attention to these fights being more than just beautifully animated and choreographed fight scenes, that it was much bigger, more impactful with dreams, emotions, and internal conflicts that was dealt with during these fights. Who do I think had the better fight? I'm not gonna lie, I liked both episodes for different reasons. Sanji's was more emotional. I thought the smaller skirmishes that he had was better. Zoro was more spontaneous and badass, and I think his climax was better. Both episodes and fights were 10 out of 10s, but I liked Zoro's fight a little bit better simply because Zoro's my favorite character. They both had great episodes, and each fan of these two should be satisfied with how they turned out. Zoro and Sanji, they are Luffy's two wings, and for him to become the King of the Pirates, he needs these two to continue to level up. Let me know how you guys felt about these fights in the comment section below. Who did you guys enjoy more, and what was your favorite part? I also did reactions to these, both of them. I will leave them in the description below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. I also recently have been live live streaming on Twitch. I've been reading the Berserk manga for the first time. If you guys want to be a part of that, it will be on the screen and in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.